Okay.
And we're back. No, I'm just kidding.
We gotta workshop that.
I don't know. We gotta workshop that. That's so true. Anyway.
All right, well, so we're talking, a lot of different stuff, and we wanted to talk about our own wedding.
I just like to talk about our wedding.
I know.
I just wanted to do an episode on our wedding because I absolutely adore our wedding.
Right.
And I adore other people's weddings, but mostly mine.
Sure. It wasn't perfect, right?
Nobody's is.
We both could have learned. We both learned a lot from our own wedding.
Yeah.
And we fell in love with kind of the whole wedding industry and landscape by planning our own wedding and executing it, and it's probably the number one reason why we're doing what we're doing.
Is our own wedding?
As our own wedding, yeah. I feel like
we
did it really well, and we got tons of compliments on it, and we were like, man, if we could get married, every year,
Man, I'd love to get married again.
Party would be awesome. It'd be better and better every. So we want to bring that to our clients and to anybody else that's interested in having a kick-ass wedding.
I think that this episode's going to be very tangent-y. We're going to go off on lots of tangents for this one, so bear with us. But
there's no script for any.
No, there's no script, and I think I don't know. I guess just start into it. I wanted to talk about my first point when we talk about our wedding is we toured our venue before we got engaged.
Yes.
That is my favorite thing to tell people.
I can't remember exactly why. I think it's because I loved you a lot.
Yeah, is that why?
It was something like that.
Well, so, I mean, for background on us as a couple, we knew we were going to get married a couple weeks into meeting, which is super shitty. We'll
see if this ages well.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, we know.
We did, and that's super cheesy, and I'm so sorry about it. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. I loved it. I think that why we toured the venue early, though, is because we wanted to get a jump on it. We knew... this is the one thing that we did really well, was that we knew that we had to book it, as soon as possible.
Right. We were married in October, prime wedding season. Late October
So we booked it a year and a half early, which was awesome. The venue. Let's talk about the venue. Yeah. Loved the venue. Loved the venue.
I mean, we toured a few venues.
We did.
We found out very quickly
they're expensive.
The venues are so expensive, and it is really amazing. I still feel like we got such value for our money with the venue.
I think so too.
And it was kind of an accident, but one thing that I guess we could recommend as far as just venue shopping, big picture stuff, is to, first of all, go to a lot of different venues.
Oh yeah.
Get a quote. Don't commit to anything. Mm-hmm. But if it's a year out from your date, you're already behind the curve, right?
Sure.
So what do you think? 18 months out from your
At
wedding
least,
date,
yeah.
You should be touring venues, getting estimates.
Yeah.
You should have an approximate guest number by that point, 150, 100,
well,
200.
However many you're inviting.
Right, exactly, because they're going to need to know.
Yeah. My advice would be get the rules and regulations. What can you do? What can't you do?
Absolutely.
Ours was obviously the alcohol, which is a whole other thing that we can talk about.
Yeah, we talked about that in the alcohol episode.
Yeah.
So.
But also our venue was no glitter, which is super specific. But if you're a glitter lover, don't get that venue. It's simple stuff like that.
Right. I mean, so we booked our venue as a nonprofit, which is some part of the reason that it was so cheap to us.
Yeah. It wasn't a wedding venue, was the point.
Right,
which
exactly.
Most venues that are not wedding venues are going to be cheaper.
Yeah, that's one thing we learned pretty quickly, is that if you put the word wedding in front of any business or shop or company or whatever, the price goes up 30-40%.
Yeah.
A wedding, air quote, wedding venue that markets themselves as a wedding venue is going to start at $8,000 a lot of the time. So
I feel like we spent a lot of time talking about the venue, but the venue for us was huge.
That's important.
That was the bulk of our wedding, was where it was.
Yeah, it's a canvas for your painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what did we do next? We did vendors. The vendors was kind of, I mean, it is what it is. We picked, we had a friend do our photography. Mm-hmm. Yep. Which worked out for us. It does not always work out. It worked out for us.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'll say this. Everybody's a wedding photographer now.
Yeah.
And this is not to shit on wedding photographers. It's just, it's a saturated market.
It is.
And so it's not hard to find a cheap wedding photographer.
Yeah.
Especially in our area. That might not be true for all areas. But, for where we live, it's not hard to find one that's cheap. We spent less than $1,000 on for what, 75 or 100 photos?
It was about 100, yeah.
Which isn't a ton, but...
I say splurge on your photographer because it's the only thing you'll have left.
Yeah.
Which, like, ours, like I said, ours worked out fine, and I'm not upset about it.
Yeah.
But this is a good lesson in, like, anything can happen.
Yeah, I guess that is probably one, if we were to talk any kind of regrets... We could have spent a little bit more on a more professional seasoned photographer.
Sure.
We might have loved our photos a little bit more. Not that I dislike any of our photos.
No. I see what you mean, though.
Could have got maybe more pictures out of it. Videography? We didn't book a videographer.
See, that's a trend that's in and out.
Yeah.
I don't regret not booking a videographer.
It's just so much more expensive.
It is.
Would
you like to have had a videographer?
If I had $3,000 extra dollars?
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe. But, I mean, our budget was small. We spent less than... Our budget was 10 to 12,000 is what we were planned on.
Yeah, we probably spent around 15.
Closer to 15. Also, when it's all said and done.
That's just and something to note is that we personally did not pay that 15.
Yeah.
We had a lot of help. Our parents helped a lot. It was mostly our parents, actually. God bless them. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. They handled a lot of the bigger purchases, booking the venue, booking catering, and then as the time went on, we spent our own money on
small stuff,
decorations here and there. We hit up Hobby Lobby seasonal sales the year before.
We did the centerpieces, things like that.
Bought our rings, maybe.
No,
we didn't.
We did not. We did all the florals. We bought all that. But that's another thing that we did. We did all artificial flowers.
Yeah.
Which was awesome, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought it looks awesome in pictures. Also, I think that if people like give a shit, I think that if people are like, oh, well, there are no real flowers, those people are snobby and uncalled for.
They don't wilt. They come in they come in more colors than you can imagine.
Yeah.
And if you go through the right company, they look as real flowers do.
I think so.
As long as you don't touch them or look at them too hard, you're not going to tell a difference.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so what other vendors? DJ was just kind of on a whim. I mean, like, we know we wanted a DJ, but we just kind of found one that had a lot of good reviews. That was pretty easy.
That's another one that there's a lot of wedding DJs.
Yeah.
Depending on the market, there might not be a ton of venues, but... Forgot
about this. You had a friend initially that was like, I'll DJ your wedding. And I was like, how about no?
Yeah, it didn't work out. It was one of those where it's like, I'm glad we didn't go with our first obvious option, because it was going to be a lot cheaper, but it was like, we
were like, hey, when are you coming? And he was like, I don't know. That was the whole...
Too casual.
It was.
This is a PSA to be wary of vendors that don't have a contract or just want to show up and do whatever. If they're very wishy-washy or they're very... they have to... There's got to be some kind of structure.
Professionalism.
Yeah, exactly. Professional. If they're not professional in the months ahead, they're not going to be professional the day of.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, and that we've seen that at some of our weddings.
Food was awesome. That was another thing. We did tastings ahead of time. Actually, at our venue, that was cool.
Yeah.
But
a lot of caterers do tastings.
Yeah, taste your food before you serve it. Also, we did a buffet, which I loved. Some people are against buffets. Some people are not. I liked it because, like, I, for example, have like dietary restrictions, so I couldn't. There were some things on our menu even that I couldn't eat, so I got to pick and choose what I ate.
Right.
For other people, it was like other people on diets, they could pick what they ate, or people who aren't on diets can, chow down. Like, it was awesome. I liked it. I thought our food was good. Other people said our food was good too, and there was a ton left over, and Grandpa loved taking home cheeseburgers at the end of the night.
Right, and that's every caterer does stuff a little bit differently.
Sure.
Right. We went with a cheaper caterer that basically set up the food, set up the buffet, and left. We had the option to pay for extra service to refill stuff throughout the night and take out the trash.
We didn't pay
We decided that with our venue, it wasn't really necessary.
No.
So we saved money by doing that. We saved money by doing a buffet. Food and alcohol can get really expensive really quickly. I mean, it can be, even if you have a nice venue, it can be your most expensive line item in a budget.
For sure. Well, for alcohol, we just brought in our own beer and wine. That was the benefit of doing the nonprofit was they purposefully didn't have a 3-way catering license, like the beer, alcohol, and liquor, because they were like,
well, it's not worth it to them.
It wasn't worth it. Like, it wasn't worth the liability, and we were
Right.
like, super fair. We'll get the permit. We bought. That was one thing that we paid a little bit for, was that like we paid a little bit for our own alcohol.
Yeah.
But then everybody got to drink beer and wine for free, which was awesome.
And we had just like the food, we had tons of extra that we got to take home or hand off to anybody that helped. Wedding party got a bottle of wine or whoever.
Yeah.
That's another thing to just kind of quickly circle back to venues is looking at venues. When you're touring venues, make sure to be clear on whether they have vendors that they require, right?
Yeah, that's
so
true.
We recently worked with a venue that if you wanted to do alcohol, you had to do it through their vendor.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do food, you had to do it through their caterer.
Yeah.
Some venues have relationships with coordinators, so we couldn't coordinate a wedding at just any venue. Sometimes they have their own people. I don't think this is super common, but some venues might have their own in-house photography and videography that you have to go through. It's possible.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see why it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, that's true.
So having a venue that's super flexible with you and being able to let you do your thing. And
that was important to us. Some people like that, like they have
that it's taken care of.
Yeah. Some people like that, and that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about the ceremony. I don't even have like advice that I want to give anybody. I just want to hear your thoughts. We've never really debriefed on our wedding ceremony.
No.
It was surprisingly more religious than I anticipated it would be.
Yeah.
We had my cousin do it, which was awesome. It was great to have him involved, and it was.
Who's a pastor?
Yeah, he was a pastor, and I think that the audience enjoyed it. But I also think the guests were like, "This is way more religious than we know the two of them to be."
Well, that may have been our younger guests. The older guests are probably like, it wasn't religious enough. But
the older guests were like, "Amen."
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, his family that did it. He's a pastor. He did our premarital counseling.
Yeah.
So it's not to say that we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into.
But a little bit we didn't.
We did have to tone. We set the expectation pretty early on that we weren't expecting like a full, fully religious, like we're not going to have communion
like a sermon.
there. Yeah. We did our ceremony in the venue.
We kind of had communion.
We did, yeah.
It wasn't real communion. We just we did the unity.
We did a unity ceremony, which is a whole other trend we could talk about.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode on unity ceremonies.
We didn't like the weird ones, like the sand is overdone, and like the classic unity cross thing.
The strand
you can
of
get at Hobby Lobby.
What is it? Quarter of 3 strands or what? Cross.
Yeah,
I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. So we didn't love those, but we came across it on.
It was 4 weddings. We stole it from 4 weddings.
Which at this point is. All that stuff is so outdated, but we thought this was interesting.
I loved it.
We're booze bags, so talk about what we did.
We did. We blended wine. A wine that represented me and a wine that represented you, more or less. Blended it together. I took a sip and then you chugged the rest of it, which was awesome.
Yeah, it's a crowd pleaser.
Well, you told me we did debrief a little bit now that I think about it, because you told me later. You're like, I knew you were gonna only take a sip of it, so I let you go first so I could chug the rest of it.
You pitched the ball so that I could head it out of the park.
Yep.
I mean, that was our relationship.
Literally, somebody from the back, like, wooed, and I'm doing as you were chugging the wine. I thought it was funny.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was funny. I'm not sure that my cousin who officiated it thought it was that funny.
I don't care.
But I loved it. I adored it. Yeah. We wrote our own vows and did those after the ceremony.
Personal vows.
Personal, yeah. But like we did the I do's. We didn't do those traditionally either.
Well, we wrote our own. We were very specific about what we repeated back. We didn't do the classic in sickness and in health. Blah, blah, blah,
they didn't make it any less. Yeah, they didn't make it those things untrue. We just decided there were different things we wanted to say to each other.
But you and I sat down. We spent
a lot of time on them.
It was probably a couple hours total, maybe, but spread across maybe a week.
Yeah.
Thinking about what exactly we wanted to say. And I want to dig those up eventually to kind of read through them again, because we haven't touched them since the ceremony.
Yeah, no, I thought they were awesome.
I thought they were really good. I mean, we wanted to straddle the line between being religious and just focusing on who we are as people, and not necessarily putting on a religious persona when that's not who we are.
Well, no, but we did. I mean, one of the lines was, basically thanking God who brought us together. That was important for us to say.
Yeah.
Because we both truly believed that. But the other things that we said were just as important because it was, focusing on how we're going to be, basically be each other's BFF in person for the rest of forever.
Yeah.
Which is also true.
Yeah. That was one of my more favorite parts of the ceremony was doing the regular vows, like the repeat after me ones, knowing that we had written them together because it meant that much more to us.
Yeah.
Like I truly felt like I was involved with the promises that I made when we were married.
Yeah.
So
well, and then after the ceremony, we literally on the sidewalk outside of the venue with cars passing by
and people like running, jogging nearby.
People with their dogs, because it was like October and it was nice outside.
Yeah.
And it was 7 p.m. by this point.
Step off was at 7, so it was like 7. Well, that's another thing. It was like 7:15.
Yeah,
because our ceremony
was super short.
Very short.
But yeah, so anyway, we're outside on the sidewalk outside of the venue, like next to the parking lot. We did our actual real written personal vows.
Bawling.
Just bawled the whole time, in public. I'm in this beautiful long wedding dress, just crying my face off.
Yeah.
And this lady's running by with her little chihuahua.
Lululemon on, taking a video.
It was awesome. And weird.
Yeah.
I loved it. I think that made our wedding super to us super memorable.
No, it was fun.
I remember that a lot.
It was very fun.
Do I remember what I said? No, because I was crying.
Yeah.
We have those though. We've got those written down.
Yeah, absolutely.
We cut cocktail hour short though because we were like.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about regrets again. So when we did our own vow, private vows.
Yeah. Which I don't regret.
We didn't feel I didn't feel like we needed to share those because it's always weird. It's always they're always full of inside jokes that everyone's gonna awkwardly laugh at.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I put in my vows that I promised to watch SpongeBob and Law & Order SVU with you.
100%.
Which is it's known that you like those shows, but I don't expect my family to be yeah, she likes those. Because they wouldn't know.
Right. That's something I talk about all the time.
Right. It's that kind of stuff. Inside jokes with best man speeches. They're weird. Anyways. So we did our personal vows out on the sidewalk and then had our family meet us out because we took family photos.
Mm-hmm.
The big pictures.
Yeah.
On the steps there.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone else went in and mingled and partied.
I have a regret on those photos real quick.
Go for it.
No ring, no bring.
Yeah.
There is at least one family member in that photo who is no longer a family member. They broke up and now they're not in not just the physical picture but the family picture
right
anymore.
Well, I would love to write this down and do a whole episode on that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, because how many people are in it's root. That's the whole thing.
It was weird. It was weird because we knew.
Yeah. But they're not gonna be around in 6 months.
Yeah,
we knew that.
We didn't want to say that and be you can't be in the picture. We don't want to be dicks about it.
Well, that's the whole thing. I'm a big fan of. All right, let's do one with the girlfriends and boyfriends, and now let's do one without them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Which we did. We did at the beginning. We took pictures beforehand. We took all because we did a first look. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
We did a first look and then we did bridal. We did bridal pictures and all that stuff beforehand. Family pic, individual with your sisters, blah blah blah. Yeah. We did all that beforehand.
Right.
One big family picture though.
Yep. Had some boyfriends or girlfriends.
Yeah, that we were just I don't know about that.
Yeah. Probably on both sides.
Probably
on both sides. So after we took our big family photos, you and I just kind of.
We literally sat on the steps outside. My mom brought us some wine because she was like, "Do you guys want to start drinking?" And we were like, "Hell yes."
I had a Corona. But we just kind of hung out on the steps, and I do think, I'm thinking back on it, and I'm why didn't we could have done a grand entrance after cocktail hour, but there's no reason that we couldn't have just gone inside and hung out and said
I don't know if I
hi,
told you this. Somebody asked me that. I was like, yeah, we were outside, and I think it was my uncle was like, why didn't you come in and just mingle? Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I don't know.
We should have done that. I think we were so married to the idea of the grand entrance and kind of coming back that we just, married to the idea, huh? And we just kind of, I don't know why we just stuck outside.
We thought we needed the tradition, maybe?
I don't know what happened.
I don't know. But the DJ came outside and was like, how you guys doing? And we were like, can you please introduce us? We're ready to come inside.
Yeah, we were ready to go. I mean, the pictures were done. I think we were maybe waiting on,
we thought pictures were going to take longer was the thing.
Oh, I'll tell you what we were waiting on. Now I remember. Catering was setting up dinner food.
That's right.
During cocktail hour. And so we wanted to stay out of the way, I think, for some reason. I don't know.
We still could have gone in and mingled, though.
We could have gone in and mingled.
Anyway.
You're right. That was a regret. So I guess that's good advice, is that even don't let your schedule get in the way of you having fun.
Yeah, that's good. Right? That is good advice.
Because if you and I were coordinating our wedding and put a different couple in our shoes,
I would have been like, hey, if you're ready, let's go.
There's a lot of people in there that want to talk to you guys. Mm-hmm. Is there a specific reason that's preventing you from going and having fun?
Yeah.
And enjoying your day?
Yeah.
Because there wasn't.
No, there wasn't.
Maybe some dumb logistics or not.
Yeah, definitely not.
You know, there's no reason you can't mingle and mingle and mingle. And then hey, we're going to do a grand entrance to get the party and dancing started. Let's step out in the hallway and then come right back in.
Yep.
No reason we couldn't have done that.
Yep, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we walked in, and just the two of us got announced, which was awesome.
We didn't do a bridal party.
We didn't, which I think that was appropriate. We went straight into our first dance, right?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, that was awesome.
We did.
That was fun. Got pictures from that. And then we did the parent dances. Me and my dad, and you and your mom. Right? Did we do those right away?
Yes. You and your dad went first.
Yep, and he bawled his eyes out, and it was awesome.
Well, we all knew that was going to happen. And then my mom bawled her eyes out.
We knew that was going to happen, too.
Of course.
And then we just kind of got started, right? At the reception?
We just got dancing started.
Yeah. We ate. Well, we ate.
Oh, no.
We'd ate and then
yeah,
we
broke for food is what happened after those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Which like you can do that either way. You can do the dances beforehand, or you can do them after you eat. I think in the past, people always did them kind of after they ate. I think. I actually don't know. I liked it going straight into it.
Yeah, I mean, weddings are always it's a balance game of keeping people's attention because no one likes to sit around and have nothing to do at a wedding. Mm-hmm. Like, if people are bored, put food in their mouths.
Yeah, that's true.
Or give them a drink, or put music on.
Well, we had already done cocktail hour, so people had already been drinking, and we had, like, a little charcuterie table, basically.
Yeah. So had some snacks.
So they were fine. They weren't mad, and part of it was that catering was still setting up.
Yeah, they were kind
of. Now that I think about it, is that they were still in there banging around a little bit.
Right.
Which was fine. Like, it didn't bother me, but we did all that stuff first, and I think that was appropriate for the way we did it.
Yeah. We did skip over one thing. So we did our dances. We did you and me. Mm-hmm. And then me with my mom, you with your dad. And then we all went to, there was like a balcony kind of thing.
Yep.
With some tables up there at the top. And we had a microphone with a microphone stand. Mm-hmm. And we did a welcome. Mm-hmm. Just we got a microphone for 10 seconds.
Yep.
Said, thanks for everybody for coming. We're going to have a great time, whatever. Yep. And we handed off the microphone to your dad.
Yeah, who said things that made me want to cry.
Who spent a lot of money on our wedding.
Mm-hmm. God bless him. And, again, said things that made me want to cry. Because I'm Daddy's little girl.
Yep.
And then we handed it off to my cousin who did the ceremony to pray. Remember, he was up there with us. And then we prayed, and then we ate dinner, I think, right? We just went right into it.
After the prayer, we just started dismissing for dinner. You and I went down,
and ate.
Bridal party, and then table numbers, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and the DJ released, and that was fine. Mm-hmm. And then once our table was done eating, we did speeches.
We did table toasts.
Ooh, forgot about table toasts. Ooh, let's talk about table toasts.
3 thumbs up trend for me.
Yeah, so the traditional, like the original quote-unquote table toast was receiving line.
Yes.
Which is, everybody knows that receiving line is where you stand and people literally line up to come say hi to you after your ceremony.
It's always in the foyer of a church.
Yep.
Because everyone's leaving the chapel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you said, it's like a 30-45 minute wait.
It just wasn't our vibe. It takes too long. We didn't even have that many guests, and it still would have taken a hot minute.
Everyone's feet hurt.
Right. So what we did was we went around to each, and this prevented us from having to say hi to literally every person.
Yes.
We went around to each table, and basically just like did a little like, hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming, kind of thing.
Yep. You don't have to shake every person's hand. You don't have to hug every single person. Mm-hmm. People are inevitably going to grab you, stand up, give you a hug, whatever.
Yeah, and something that we didn't say was that we did cabaret seating for our ceremony.
Yep.
So everybody was already at their tables, and everybody stayed at their tables all night. Mm-hmm. So once we got around to the tables, people were free to like mingle. Like, it was fine.
Yeah, exactly. And that was part of it too. That was good. Is like once we had visited a table, we kind of encouraged them to like you said, like mingle around.
Yeah, I was like, hey, go grab a drink. You know,
because more than likely, we were done eating and then we started doing the table toasts, right? So people were either halfway through their meal or finishing up their meal.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was like, oh, I can go grab a drink and I can just have party now. Like that's what we're doing. And we were like, yes, we're gonna start dancing, but we don't have anything else for you guys to come watch because we didn't do a cake cutting.
Well, did we do that? When did we do the speeches though?
We did speeches. Oh, that's right. We did speeches after table toasts. Yeah. Because we knew everybody was gonna kind of still be around their table.
But
dim the lights, did speeches.
Yeah, did table toast. Anyway, big fans of table toast. Then we did speeches. Speeches were good. We did best man, maid of honor, and then we did basically the best friends after. I mean, it was roommates.
Our number twos. On either side were both roommates that we'd had.
Yeah.
Which was convenient for us. So we were like, oh, you know.
And the roommate speeches. It was cute. I thought it was cute.
You had roomed with your person for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, I think about the same time.
Was it?
A couple years, yeah. So
speeches were good. Something to note about speeches, though, is that, like, keep it short.
Yeah.
Which ours did great at keeping it short.
Yeah. Communicate ahead of time.
Yeah.
Encourage them to be brief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did we do after that? We kind of just danced, and then...
After speeches, we
just went for it.
I want to say that we didn't really make it clear that there was no cake cutting, but
we just didn't do it.
But we had the DJ announce that there was a dessert table off to the side, that it was open for consumption. Like go grab cupcakes because we didn't do a whole cake; it was just cupcakes. And it was just dancing.
Yeah,
I danced the night away.
We went
out and I hung out with different tables. You know, I had a lot of people that I'd met from work there. You know. Close friends.
It was a lot of fun. Dancing was awesome. We had a lot of young guests. What was weird is that we didn't have a lot of guests in general, but in regards to like young, middle-aged, and old, I feel like we had equal numbers of everybody.
Yeah.
Like we had the same amount of old people as we did young people.
Yeah.
Which worked out for us. But dancing was super fun. And then we did our final dance together, and that was what became our wedding song. Fun fact.
Yep.
Was the dance that we did what we call our wedding song was our like last private dance.
Yeah.
And then we did the send off, and that was it, right?
Sparkler send off. We toyed around with the idea of going bar hopping afterward.
I forgot my ID. That's what happened.
You didn't have your ID, and also we were already like.
We were so tired.
We were tired, and it was like if I drink, if we go out, I'm gonna have at least 2 more drinks, and I'm not gonna be able to drive. Nor am I going to be able to enjoy first night married with my wife, you know.
Yeah.
So that was not going to be feasible.
Yeah. So that's something to remember too. Is that like if you want to do things afterward, plan for it, and if you don't, that's okay too.
Yeah, absolutely. One thought I had about dancing, just kind of real quick, that we've learned from a couple weddings, is that we know this from every wedding we've done so far, is that dancing. A lot of people just don't want to dance because it feels weird, right?
Sure.
Maybe that's just our families or the people that we know, or the people that we interact with. You and I are dancers. We'll get down and not that we're good. You're better than I am, but like we're not like
we like to dance.
Yeah, we like to dance. But one thing that I think served us really well at our wedding, and served the one we did outdoors in the summer last year, was that the dance floors were small.
Yeah.
And so a crowded dance floor that's small it's more high energy than a really big dance floor that's got nobody on it.
Yeah, that's good advice.
You know, every small dance floor that I've seen at a wedding, it gets filled up super quickly because it's small.
It looks packed.
But that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because people are talking to each other and interacting, and that's something that's missing from a lot of weddings, I think.
Yeah.
So we recommend having a small dance floor.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's a great way to kind of amp up the energy on the dance floor, you know, and it uses less real estate.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true.
I don't know. I think every wedding that we've had with a small dance floor, the dancing part went really well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. Well, wrapping up here, is there anything cheesy you want to say about our wedding? Because I know you like the cheesy stuff. Maybe it's me. I like the cheesy stuff.
I love you.
I love you.
I'm so happy that our wedding went well enough that we love weddings still.
Yeah,
you know, too. I think a lot of people go through that hell of wedding planning and executing their.
And I never want to do this again.
Yeah, like let's never do this again. And I feel like
I would do it 1,000 more times.
And we do.
And that's why we do this. And that's why we do this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad to do this.
We were guests at our own wedding, and now we're moving on to making other people guests at their own wedding.
Yeah, be a guest at your own wedding. Follow our tips and
do what we say.
Right. We'll hire a coordinator because seriously, it helps out. We had a family friend coordinate ours, and we just basically
worked out.
Told them what to do, gave them instructions, and
we were the pre-coordinators.
Right.
Which is why we do this now. It's because she was like, I don't feel like I had to do anything because you guys had it all planned out. Yeah, she literally said that to me. Yeah. But anyway.
So, enjoy your wedding. It's gonna flash by.
It is.
It's a flash in the pan.
It is a. As much as I love to talk about our wedding, it is a blur. It is a big blur, and not even because we were drunk, just because everything happened so fast. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And it's such a roller coaster of emotions too.
Ugh, love it.
And
I still cry at other people's weddings.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, all that to say, happy wedding planning.
Yep.